Hi, I'm Jefferson Drexler, and this is Parent Like You Mean It, the podcast where we talk about parenting on purpose today with the hopes of raising kids with hope and purpose tomorrow. Now, before we begin, I want to encourage you to go check out ChristianPodcastCentral.com. There, you'll find a virtual library full of engaging, encouraging, funny, and relevant podcasts and videos that I'm sure you're going to enjoy over and over and over again. Again, that's ChristianPodcastCentral.com. Now, I am so sick of fear-mongering. Everywhere you turn, someone is telling you to look over your shoulder, to be afraid of all the terrible, horrible things that are surrounding us. From a virus that has a 98 to 99% survival rate, to our president declaring the most significant threat to our democracy since the Civil War, to the horrible atrocities that our kids face at middle school. And no, I'm not talking about the isolation that our teens and preteens endured over the last couple of academic years, nor the impending remasking mandates that our kids will be facing this fall. I'm talking about the seemingly mandated fear that our kids must succumb to, and therefore, by proxy, so must us parents, that really, honestly, shouldn't matter. This was brought to my attention this last weekend while I was watching, ironically, the 2020-2021-ish Olympic Games, but we'll save honesty and branding for another episode. So there I was watching the bravest of the brave, the valiantest of the valiant, the courageousest of the courageous face incredible odds in pursuit of greatness. I saw a Mexican triathlete get lapped by the eventual winner, who, in his own right, passed and triumphed over the global favorite to win gold. And still, the last place Mexican guy fought through his pain and global public humiliation of being lapped in order to finish strong. I watched a Tunisian swimmer who barely made it to the final heat of the 400-meter free to touch the wall before everyone else, even the Australian and American powerhouses, and win gold from the 8th lane, the lane that rarely is even visible by many broadcasts. And what was his tear-filled comment about his future plans? He said, "I just want to get better." I saw a 13-year-old Japanese girl take on the best women street skaters in the world with the pressure of her home country right there on her shoulders. She was ollieing and rail sliding her way all the way to a gold medal. And then, with the biggest smile ever, she said that what she was looking forward to was asking her mom if they can go out for barbecue afterward to celebrate. But what floored me in the midst of all this athletic heroism and celebration was one of the worst commercial spots I've ever seen. Perhaps ever. Yes, even worse than that head-on product that we were repeatedly told to apply directly to the forehead. It's a commercial for a national internet service provider, and while it could possibly be interpreted as a comforting voice in the midst of a tumultuous era, even my 9-year-old saw for what it was: fear porn. The spot begins with an emotionally provoking Sarah McLachlan-esque song with the lyrics, "Have no fear, it's gonna be okay," which sounds encouraging on its face, and if my glasses were made with the wrong prescription, perhaps I wouldn't be as irritated. I mean, at the risk of losing my man card, I've always liked Sarah McLachlan's music, but it's the visuals that got my blood boiling. The ad features nearly a dozen still photos of kids looking straight into the camera with text overlays expressing what too many people believe are life's greatest struggles, yet should really be taught to be life's trivial, petty dilemmas highlighted in overwrought coming-of-age comedies rather than real life. First, we see a freckled redheaded girl with the text, "Will I be popular?" To which I answer, who cares? The real question should be, will I be nice to people? Will I be a good friend? Or will I be there for those in need? Those aspirations may not sound as glamorous as being popular, but I promise you that when she attends her 20-year reunion, she will much rather be known as the girl who was nice to everyone rather than the girl who was known by everyone. Next, we see a young guy with a bit of a pout across his face and the text, "Will I be teased?" Yes, you will be teased. Everyone gets teased. I don't care if you're in middle school or high school or grad school or the school of hard knocks. Everyone gets teased. The question is, how will you respond? Will you pout and forever play the victim card? Or will you learn to laugh it off? Or prove the teasers wrong? Or even, if necessary, put the bullies in their place? Particularly by taking a cue from the first girl and being nice, being known as a good friend, and standing strong for those in need. This guy's followed by a girl with unnaturally auburn hair and a nose septum piercing. Her accompanying graphic wonders, will I be judged? Yes. So long as you consciously alter your appearance to be counterculture, you will be judged by the mainstream. On the plus side, that's how we ended up with acclaimed trailblazers like Lennon, McCartney, Picasso, Lenny Bruce, or Elon Musk. The question shouldn't be, will I be judged, but rather, how will I stand up to the criticism headed my way as I tread down the road not taken? However, if you lack the intestinal fortitude to take on the establishment, then it's time to take out the face jewelry, hon, and swim in a more conventional water. It's a choice. The choice is yours to make. And the consequences for that choice are your own responsibility. You're not a victim of judgment. You're an owner of your own decisions. So Miss Nose Ring is followed by a condescending looking girl with the tag, am I too judgy? Okay, finally something that's actually relevant, but not in the way that the ad is insinuating. This is the one question that today's teens have the ability to self-assess and self-reconcile. And even if they're too blinded by their own pride or insecurity or other baggage to self-assess, if they learn to, again, take a cue from that first girl and learn to be a good friend, her friends will be able to help keep her accountable. And if she's too judgmental, then her friends need to remind her to be more humble. If she's not, but so paranoid that others may view her as being such, even though her behavior actually is appropriate, stop it. We see this all throughout today's American churches, in particular these days. There are nice, humble, giving, generous people all over this land afraid of being perceived as being judgy, when in fact they're just fine and they need to give themselves a break. And on a related note, being considered judgy is not always a bad thing. To discriminate that some behaviors, trends, or opinions are wrong does not necessarily make you judgy. When handled with wisdom, it makes you prudent, wise, the smart one. Back in the day, you might have been mocked for being a goody-goody, or going back even further, square. And nowadays, you may be considered on the wrong side of history. But as wisdom prevails, so will goodness and actual justice. So I wish I could pull this girl aside and simply tell her, I don't know, are you? If so, check yourself. Be more humble. Smile and move on. If not, smile and move on. But don't sit there and worry about it. Worry is a giant smile preventer. And trust me, this girl and any girl like her needs to smile. Next, we see a boy in plaid, seemingly with an honest smile, trying to break through sad eyes with the text, will I be invited? No. No, you won't. No one is invited to everything. Some people are invited to nothing. And that last part, it sucks, I know. We all wish that we were on everybody's list of, I need to have this person around when fun is happening, but that's simply unrealistic. Sorry, Red. So, what do you do? How about hanging out with that first girl? Be nice. Be a good friend. Stand in the gap for those in need. I promise. Hand on my Bible. If you live like that, you will be invited. It may not be to the coolest parties, but it will be into the lives of people when it matters. This guy's followed by another young man with another frown, wondering, will I be ignored? Again, the answer is simple. Yes, you will be ignored. Everyone's ignored, often. And don't be afraid of that. Know that it's coming, get over it, smile, and move on. Then, when it matters, make yourself known, especially when it comes to standing tall for righteousness. At that moment, when you're the person who's often looked over, yet you're the one who suddenly cannot be refused, you will become a change agent. So smile, courageously. Then there's a couple of girls who really bug me. First is a girl with a coy smile asking if she will kiss a boy. Why is this a worry? More than likely because throughout her whole life, she's been pummeled with the idea that she needs to fall in love, kiss a boy, and live happily ever after, beginning as soon as possible. And too often, that's not just her peers that bombard her with this train of thought. It's the media, it's entertainment, it's even her parents. That's a heartbreaker. And it's easily solvable. I love the 3 rules that our high school principal at my kid's school has for living a successful high school experience. Number 1, get good grades. And if you apply yourself to your studies, this should happen. Even if you struggle, there are resources available to help you in those struggles. Number 2, get involved. If you're connected to healthy environments within the school, such as athletics, performing arts, clubs, or other activities, you will be more inclined to do well in your classes and discover the aids to help you when you need help and make long-lasting, loving relationships with people who will love you throughout your teenage years. And finally, 3, don't date. Yeah, he pulls no punches. And every single one of his students, year after year after year, have heard this earnest plea to avoid teenage romance. A vast majority of the time, if you become romantically, especially physically involved with someone else, you will be distracted from rules 1 and 2. Then, when, not if, but when you break up, you will be isolated instead of surrounded by loving friends. You will be depressed instead of motivated, and you will be left longing to feel romance's highs again, which will lead to a continuing cycle that will only dissuade you from high school success. On the other hand, with strong self-control and a commitment to all 3 of these rules, not only will her teenage years be incredibly fun and successful, she will receive an incredible boost when she hears the principal announce at graduation, "Congratulations! Now you no longer need to heed my 3 rules. Take what you've learned and go on to the next stage of your life and feel free to date." By the time that teens graduate, they will hopefully have the relationships, the responsibility, and life lessons where they can date well, not just with the goal of kissing a boy. Which brings me to the next girl shown in the ad, with the graphic wondering if she will kiss a girl. All I can say in today's cultural context is, we'll reread the past 3 paragraphs that I just said. I get it. None of this is necessarily easy. That being said, why complicate things by putting anxiety-riddled worries on your front burner instead of things that are far easier to handle and reap far better results? You know, like being nice to people, being a good friend to someone, standing alongside people in need. And speaking of needy, here comes the final 2 teens. First, there's a boy holding his guitar and wondering, am I liked? Liked? Dude, you are loved. You just need to open your eyes to the fact. Start with the fact that you have an omnipresent God who is with you wherever you may find yourself, who loves you more than you can ever imagine and wants to spend eternity with you. And believe it or not, His love is often manifested through the people all around you, just waiting to be recognized and responded to. This doesn't mean that we're all superhumanly immune to feeling lonely. But I'm not talking about feelings. I'm talking about love. The decision that someone makes to stand by their friend through thick and thin. The decisions that strangers make to reach out to you when you're in need. The decision that parents make to continually love and support, even when you behave like a knucklehead. Being liked is too low of a bar to ever worry about. You are loved. And yes, I mean you. Each and every one of you. And lastly, there's our final teenage girl with natural sparkling blue eyes and artificial matching blue hair, wondering if she's doing things for likes. Yeah, kid, you likely are. But that's also easily solvable. In many ways, this poor girl is suffering from the same dilemma that the very first girl, hoping to be popular, was dealing with. The primary difference is that the first girl wants recognition in the real world, while this final girl is looking for approval in her virtual world. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't hate social media. I think it can be Pandora's box filled with anxiety and fear and depression, but when used properly, it can also be a fun tool for connecting people across town or across the globe. For too many, however, the innate curse of social media is it didn't happen if you didn't post it, and it wasn't worth happening if it isn't well liked. Therefore, too many people, and not just teens, by the way, but adults as well, they find themselves orchestrating their lives in order to simply score virtual likes versus being likable. You know, life doesn't have to be that fraught. It really shouldn't be. If we lived our lives and taught our children to live their lives with the mere goal of being nice, being a good friend, and standing in the gap for those in need, then we'll find ourselves being so much less self-absorbed and so much more popular, invited, liked. The ad concludes with the narrator assuring us that, well, there's a lot to worry about in life, so Cox gives us one less thing to worry about online with advanced Wi-Fi security for everyone in your home, while they show an 8 and 10-year-old siblings video chatting on their personal devices. In other words, your life is full of fear. Trust in us to keep your kids safe from online predators while under your roof. But everything that takes place beyond your four walls, well, perhaps you better not go beyond your four walls. All right, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but judging by the comments that stream from underneath this video, parents all over are watching through tear-filled eyes, clutching their children tight as they empathize with the fear that entangles their kids. How about we simply get rid of fear to begin with? Many studies reveal that the exhortation to fear not, or do not be afraid, or dude, chill, it's in the Bible 365 times. That's no mistake. So unless it's a leap year, we definitely have enough reminders to take comfort in God's presence and His care for us in order to live life without fear. Instead, here's something new to focus on. An example. Every morning, on the way to dropping off our kids at school, we ask them, what are the 4 most important things? It quickly got to the point where we didn't even have to ask anymore. We'd just hit a certain stoplight, which was about where we would typically ask, and without any cue, they'd simply start rattling them off. What are our 4 most important things? 1, love Jesus. 2, love others. Have self-control. 4, don't lie. Now, for a season, when our oldest was like in the 2nd grade, we had to add a 5th most important thing, which was don't lose your hoodie, but that didn't last too long, though his younger siblings like to remind him about it whenever it's chilly outside. But it just makes sense, doesn't it? It's even more simple than Fulgham's all I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. I mean, if you think about it, with daily reminders to be loving, truthful, and self-controlled, so many of the potential fears that this commercial refers to simply fall by the wayside and are replaced with healthy relationships, peace, and joy. And all that can be achieved outside of our 4 walls and without any technology at all. If we raise our kids with the priority of being kind, loving people, then fear melts away. And sure, there will be stress. So long as there are tests and changing environments, authority figures, and sadly masks in our schools, there will be stress. But that doesn't mean that it has to translate into fear. No fear. That's the key. All this to say, I'm afraid. That's all that I have to say this week. So thanks for watching. I'm Jefferson Drexler, and this is Parent Like You Mean It.